Endangered Languages Colloquium. Okay, now I would like to invite Professor Balkuz Öztürk from the Department of Linguistics of Boğaziçi University to welcome you to this event. And right after her, we will have Eylem Bostancı from Laz Institute, who will be talking about the project and endangered languages in general.
So welcome everyone. Welcome to the Endangered Languages Colloquium. This is the second of the two consecutive events we have planned as part of the EU-funded project entitled Network of Laz and Circassian Civil Societies, run by the Laz Institute and the Istanbul Caucasian Culture Association. Turn the floor to Eylem Bostancı from the Laz Institute to tell us more about the project and their Endangered Languages Network. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody. Well, the project has started in July 2020 and it's a 3 years project. What we thought was, why don't we just include the speakers, the civil societies of speakers of other endangered languages in Turkey, the speakers of 14 different endangered languages in Turkey. We come together to organize events such as, for example, celebrating the 21st of February, International Language Day, Women's Day. For example, only 2 weeks ago, and we've organized webinars such as, for example, trainings such as digital activism trainings, because today digital activism is very important, so that they become more aware, not only they but also the native speakers of these languages, so that they are more conscious about the endangerment of their languages and they know what exactly they can do to save these languages. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the research has been going for since 2008. 2008 was my pilot. Then perhaps we would have seen this reanalysis in other Greek varieties, but we haven't. We didn't. Okay. So crucially, for whatever reason, having this extra environment, okay, it made a difference. Whereas, of course, the Pontic Greek speakers, even prior to expulsion from Turkey or exchange from Turkey, they were aligning more and more with modern Greek.
In the morning, so it's more a kind of advertisement of our Circassian or Cherkes corpora. We will speak, or I will speak, or we will speak mainly about West Circassian or Hadigi corpus, and also we had some fiction mainly by Ishak Marbash. So I think that most examples were from Marbash, which was also very strange.
And actually we don't know that much. We know that storytelling skills developed very late in life, and already in the 70s Labov were actually much more competent in some aspects of the use of language when it came to verbal storytelling. We know also that our knowledge of storytelling, so what do we know about fundamentally oral culture, is actually very little, and we see that the storytelling practices are highly endangered as the societies are undergoing.
Megrelian is a member of Kartvelian or South Caucasian languages with Laz, Georgian and so on. It is also called Zan or Kolkhian language in the academic literature. However, according to some linguists, Megrelian is divided into 3 subdialects: Zugdidian Juarian, Samurzakanian and Senakian Marturian. According to Rostov-Propel, Megrelian is not endangered in the sense of the number of speakers, but it is affected by Georgian and is not spoken monolingually.
And the reason I want to talk about Welsh today is because Welsh is doing quite well, and it has its own challenges, but they are challenges that most languages haven't got far enough to encounter, which I think is detrimental to linguistic diversity. And I don't think that is necessarily their aim, I don't think it's necessarily deliberate, but I think it's a consistent side effect of that. There are similar problems with so-called Albanian dialects spoken in Italy, Arbëresh, which is not particularly intelligible with Albanian, has been distinct from it for 4 or 5 centuries. But again, there is an insistence that it must be a dialect of Albanian because Albanian is the closest thing we have, which has a standard orthography and is recognized by a state.
And these people settled in the north of Morocco and in the Ottoman Empire, among other places. But those are the 2 main areas, we could say. And they continued using Spanish language for centuries. About the word preñada, which means pregnant, but in modern Spanish, preñado is used only for animals. But this is the traditional word to the Spanish. By Kirsten in South Florida, he finds that 1/3 of the words used by the participants, they don't use the traditional G sound.
And this, I'll put this in the context of the very exceptional linguistic situation that exists in Vanuatu. Materials I delivered, so I spent 9 months on a HAMB in 2017 and 18, and I delivered some drafts in 2018 and then some materials by mail in 2019, and then in March 2020 I was supposed to go there and deliver a lot more, and then you all know what happened in March.
This is my roadmap. Based on pioneering works, I will first start with outlining the position of Zazaki within West Iranian language, and then comes the Kulp Zazaki data, one of the retention zones. I'll focus on ergative alignment and SFA constructions in this dialect and try to show that it has some deviances. 2 types of Zazaki speakers regarding their perception of language. The first group just refer their language as Zazaki, and they consider themselves as Kurd. I put the examples here, but I will not go through all of them because of time limitation. For instance, our consultant from Kulp.
It's about the implicit and explicit planning in the language planning in the family. And it has 3 main components. The first one, language ideologies. They're about beliefs regarding the languages and language use. When we look at the family language policies, we see that they are continuously shaped by a number of factors like political factors or societal factors or individual factors like parents' personal experiences and sociocultural and educational background.
In addition to the Homşesi people living in Hopa and Kemalpaşa and who still speak the language, there are also Homşesis in the Sakarya and Düzce cities in Turkey, and there are 5 villages, the population of which is composed of only Homşesi people in these cities, and 2 villages, the Homşesi people in 2 villages still speak the language. 2 big cities, as well as movement from the highland villages to downtown, and development of roads, creating new job opportunities that necessitate the use of Turkish.
Well, Surait has an extended history of almost 3,000 years that goes all the way to Old Aramaic, which was basically spoken, and we attested actually in old inscriptions from the late Iron Age Aramaic kingdoms, which was located in Mardin. Since the 13th century BC, had to move to Homs in Syria in 1933, and what we know from the 1890s, only in Mardin, that we know that there are 18 primary schools, 5 secondary schools, and 1 high school only in Midyat.
You see the map of part of Russia, Siberia, and you see points there. These are rests of Siberian languages in Russia. All the rest is just Russian language. To revitalization of the language, we made lots of in fact, our first idea was to introduce it into school, and here I think it was our mistake, because as we heard yesterday, this idea of realization is kind of Western, it's kind of European-centered.
Now, before going deep into it, I'd like to briefly introduce about the language endangerment situation in India. So after the 1947 independence from the British colonial rule, it was decided that the states in India will be divided according to the linguistic features of the region. Now, these scheduled languages are used in the administrative sector, promoted through language policies in the education system, and also has overall a high prestige factor attached to it.
Okay, so Ladino is the heritage language of the Sepharad Jews in Turkey. And it's classified as an endangered language by ethnologue. From Atabev's interviews, we see a quote regarding Judeo-Espanol, regarding Ladino, even from today. I do not accept Judeo-Spanish as a language. They're Spanish. Our community took it and destroyed it.
I'm in the Sprachwissenschaft is linguistics, as you know. He has 2 volumes book about altaistics. This kind of introduction to altaistics. Almost at every region, either I have been myself or Yongson Lee, he has been there. Yongson Lee, maybe he has been at 18 different areas. This is Amur. Amur is a kind of border between Russian and Chinese Manchuria.
As the project coordinator of the Laz-Çerkes Civil Society's Network project, I would like to say thank you to all the speakers. We believe that it's very vital that academics and civil societies work together in order to produce more, and there is so much to explore. Thank you to the Boğaziçi and Bilgi Üniversitesi, our partner Bilgi Üniversitesi, all the members of the organization committee, all the volunteers, and to the guests. Thank you, and hoping to meet you again in other conferences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bilgi people, Boğaziçi people, Laz Institute, and of course the students. Without them, there is nothing. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
3 gün süren bir sempozyum ve konferans. İkisi birlikte, 2 ayrı etkinlik aslında ama birlikte yaptık. Bu tür çalışmaların Türkiye'de yapılması da umarım gelecekte Türkiye'de bunun bir çalışma alanı, bir disiplin olarak ortaya çıkmasını sağlar. Güzel bir etkinlik oldu. Bilgi Üniversitesi, Boğaziçi Üniversitesi hocalarına çok teşekkür ediyoruz.
Tehlike altındaki dillerin tekrardan hayata kazandırılabilmesi çok yönlü bir süreç ve bu süreçte insanların bu dillere olan ilgilerini, en azından o diller hakkında bilgilerinin olması gerekiyor. İnsanların kendi dillerini kullanabilecekleri platformların ya da ortamların oluşması çok önemli. Bu konuda herkes katkıda bulunabilir, herkes konuştuğu dilin görünürlüğünü artırabilir.
Dillerin durumuyla ilgili çok fazla şey öğrendik. Dillerin yaşatılması için, canlandırılması için nelerin yapılması gerektiği konusunda bilgi ve fikir sahibi olduk. Yeni bir etkinlikte yine dillerin yaşatılması, dillerin canlandırılmasını konu alan yeni etkinliklerde birlikte olmak ümidiyle. Teşekkür ediyoruz.